as a writer, you know it's incredibly important to end every chapter on a cliffhanger. This way, people, when they finish that chapter, feel like they have to know what's coming next. They have to have the answer to the question that has been left hanging in that cliffhanger. Because if they get to the end of that chapter and it's just all kind of wrapped up, it's a very clear closing point, they will close that book and go to sleep, or they'll close that book and go do something else. And because it's not nagging at them, what's going to happen next? What is the answer to this thing? When are they going to come back to this book? It's not as quickly as possible. It's whenever, because I already kind of have a nice settled place to be at. So your ending for your chapters have to be on that cliffhanger, because you need them to know what is coming next so that they continue to read your book and don't forget about it. But then when it comes to the next chapter, how do you answer that? When do you answer that? Should it be the first line? If somebody gets to the end of chapter 2 and they need to know what happens in chapter 3, should you give them that information at the very first line of chapter 3? I would argue that you probably should not. You should probably have a little bit of content in there first, meaningful, important, impactful content, before you give them the official answer to what's going on. Even if it's a little bit of world building, even if it's, something else, a little bit of dialogue that is not going straight into, are they going to be safe? Is this thing going to happen? Is this thing going to not happen? You have to have a little bit of information there, because if I, as the reader, am at the end of chapter 2 and oh my goodness, something big is happening and I just need to know the resolution to that, and I see it in the very first line, now I have my answer and I don't have to read any further. I haven't invested into that chapter yet. I can close that and go to bed because I have my answer. So bury it a little bit, not too much, because if you have like pages before you get an answer, that's not good. But you do want to have a couple of paragraphs, interesting paragraphs that show something big is going on, something is happening that should keep my attention. And now that I've had to invest a couple of paragraphs into it, I'm into it. I'm going to go to the end of that chapter, or at least the next break point. I'm going to read a little bit more than I would have to get the answer. But because I've done that time investment already, now I'm going to go a little bit longer. I'm going to invest a little more time and effort into this. So when it comes to your writing, leave those chapters on the cliffhangers, but don't answer them immediately in the next chapter. If I have to go like 2 or 3 paragraphs, or if I have to flip the page, because we know we've got the big chapter header, so it's not like it's a full page of text. But if I have a paragraph or 2 and I have to flip that page, now I'm invested. Now I'm going to go to the next scene break. I'm going to go to the next break inside of the book with a little graphic saying, okay, this is a resting point. I'm going to get to that point. I'm going to read a little bit more. I'm going to invest myself a little bit more. And when I do that, the more that I do that, the more I become invested in those characters, in those stories, and in that book. So even if I get to the place where it is a natural break, where you have that scene divider, I'm going to be more willing to be very invested in picking it up first thing the next day. So you are actually getting people more ingrained in what you are doing and more desperate to know what's going on. So by getting them through that cliffhanger, through that next part to invest in reading a little bit more, now I'm going to be more likely to keep that top of mind, to think, oh, I have to get home to read that. Oh, I can't wait to get done with work. I can't wait to get done with school so I can go home and I can read that. I'm going to get things done really quick. I'm going to get my chores done, or do the dishes, or make the meals really fast so I can have a little more reading time. You are getting them a little bit more invested every time you do that, which means they're going to become more and more committed to you as an author. So being smart about how you are writing with the cliffhangers and with the resolution of those cliffhangers really can have a huge impact on your book read through, your sales, and you as a whole, as the author, and the sales you're going to be making on future books as well. Drop your questions down below. Follow along for more as we continue to help you navigate the world of author life, from your writing to your publishing to your marketing, to make this your best and most profitable author year ever, so that you can live your best author life while also still having a life. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.